I'm Michelle, and we're going to talk about how I and you can use mindfulness, compassion, and connection to find your inner calm and a little more sanity in your parenting. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be back with you here today. It is officially a crazy time of year for those of you who celebrate Christmas. There's probably a lot going on in your life. And either way, it's the winding up of semesters. Schools often take off. There's usually a break. And so, even if you're not celebrating Christmas, it might be a busy time for you as well. It definitely is at our house planning for Christmas and getting everything together. And today we're going to talk about how to get your kids to bed peacefully. And before I jump into today, I just want to quickly talk about I just got to do the morning reset live today, and it was so fun to get to chat with parents and share so many tips on playful ways to infuse play into your bedtime routines, playful, gentle, warm, connecting ways to wake your kids up, how to create a structure in the morning that has creates more time and less stress for us as parents, and infused with play and connection and positive feedback for our kiddos. And it was so fun to get to meet with parents, and now you can purchase the replay. So if you are interested, you can check it out and let me know. It has a lot, I think 8 handouts that you can put on a Google Doc and make them your own checklists and a reverse engineering your morning and all kinds of fun stuff. So I would love for you to check it out, and I would love to hear even more how how it goes for you. So getting back to today, how to get your kids to bed peacefully. I'm Michelle, and I help parents who want to parent peacefully, to foster strong relationships with their children, and at times find it really hard. When my kids were small, I found myself so overwhelmed and burnt out. Not only did I struggle with responding peacefully or playfully, I got caught in awful yelling patterns, followed by, of course, overwhelming shame because yelling was the last thing that I wanted to do. So now let's talk about how I and you can use the science of mindfulness and self-compassion to find your inner calm and a little more sanity in your parenting. So, I also forgot to tell you on January 22nd, I'm going to have a free live webinar. It's 4 steps to build the calm, connected home you long for. And you'll get a free parenting journal to help you stay on track with your parenting goals and keep your mindset positive. It's meant to be like 5-minute check-ins for whenever you have time and or desire. So I'd love to see you at the free webinar. It's always fun to see new faces. I got a parenting question recently. How do I get my kids to bed peacefully? This is such a great question. And first off, I want to say there's no shoulds or have tos here. I'm going to give you ideas, but that doesn't mean this is how you should put your kids to bed or that there's a right way to put your kids to bed, because kids are so unique and have unique challenges, and they're just unique, and parents are unique and families are unique. And so what works wonderfully for one family might not work at all for another family. So no shoulds or have tos. So I'm going to go back in time to the memory castle of when my kids, my twins specifically, were little, and I was trying to put them to bed. So let's see, we had them in cribs, and we decided to take the one side off the crib. And we thought this would be a good idea to help them transition eventually into a toddler bed. And it was the beginning of the end. It was so terrible. I can't tell you. We were completely unprepared for it was like all of a sudden they had free reign and without the boundary of that third, fourth wall, they didn't understand why they should stay in bed. And they didn't understand anything. It seemed like about, I was like really shocking how it could go from from what I remember, somewhat, you know, peacefully being able to put them to bed to all of a sudden they didn't stay in bed. They ran out of the room and we kept having to try different things. So they'd turn on the light. Of course, we would turn off the light. They turned on the light. They climbed up on the dresser to turn on the light. We took the light out of the socket. Then they would get out their toys and start playing. So we took the toys out of the room. Well, they found something else to play with. They took the clothes out of their drawers and started playing with them and throwing them all around the room. Oh my goodness. It was like the battle of the wits. So we turned the dresser around so they couldn't get access to the clothes. And then it just kept ratcheting up and it was just like so crazy. And I remember most nights getting to some breaking point where we would yell and, one or myself or my partner would yell and say, get to bed, this is done or something like that. And then they would cry and all of the drama, it would, all of the chaos would stop, but then they would be crying and we felt guilty and they felt it was just terrible. So I can totally understand how difficult bedtime can be. The reality is, we're asking our kids to separate from us at bedtime. And so separation can be really hard for kiddos because, especially when they're little, we're their safe place. And it's normal for kids to have fears about bedtime. It's normal for them not to want to separate from us. It's all very normal. And it's also a really stressful time because we're tired and we just need our kids to go to bed so we can get sleep or so that we can finally have a moment to ourselves or to do whatever the five things that we haven't gotten to do all day. So it is a like pressure cooker kind of situation, or it can be. And um, what I found over time, like I'm going to share some strategies with you, but the reality was that I had to do some inner work. I had to find my calm and figure out how to get regulated inside, so that these ideas that I had didn't just fall flat and didn't still lead to me getting angry and yelling eventually, right? Because I needed to find my calm. I needed to be regulated and it took time. So one of my favorite ideas that I read was fading check-ins. So let's say, I mean, first you set up kind of a routine. Maybe you have some vigorous play before your bedtime routine starts that is connecting and fun. And then you go into your bedtime routine. Maybe it's a bath, maybe it's teeth brushing, whatever it is, all these kind of things, and you finally get them into bed. And you are, maybe your routine is that you read them three books, and it helps to have a transition. So all of that can be, it's helpful to have something that routine that they expect every night. So I would write out what you do and see, like, is there anything that I would want to add or do differently? But then when you get to this point, oftentimes we just want to like turn off the lights and expect our kid to just stay in bed and go to bed. And that doesn't always work for kids because of their separation anxiety, because maybe they're anxious about the next day going to preschool or school, so they don't want to go to bed. There's lots of things, big feelings can come up for kids at night. That's the reality of the situation. So it can be nice after the three books or whatever it is that you lay in bed next to them for maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, whatever it is, maybe just 3 minutes. Maybe you rub their back, maybe you're just laying there. Sometimes parents fall asleep there. That's great. If that works for you and your family, awesome. Done. If you are like me and you can't fall asleep or don't want to fall asleep in there, um, another idea is to, at that point, say, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. And you run to the bathroom and you come back. So they're expecting you to come back. And this is where You teach them to stay in bed because you're going to come back and check on them, and you fade these check-ins. So it could be that, and or it could be, I'm going to come back and check on you in 1 minute. And depending on your kiddo's age and their anxiety level, you might literally do 30 seconds to 1 minute. And again, this is going to fade. You don't have to do this forever, but you're teaching them it's safe to be in bed. You're teaching them you're going to come back and check on them. You're teaching them that they don't have to get out of the bed and come and run after you. So you don't have to do this forever, but this is kind of where you start. So you come back and check on them in 1 minute and you just say, checking on you, or maybe you don't even say anything. You just like give them a little signal and you open the door, look inside, and that's it. You don't engage or, start a whole conversation. Love you. And then you come back in 2 minutes, and then you come back in 3 minutes. And again, if your kiddo can stay longer, you don't have to do such a short amount of time, but you know your kiddo and you know what's going to work. So I would start with however long you think, like a minute or less before they're going to run out of the room. And then gradually space that out. So hopefully they learn to relax and know that you're not gone forever. You're coming back, you're checking on them, and they can slowly go to sleep. Another idea is to let them listen to a book that is either a sleepy time book or like a sleepy time story for kids where it's not engaging and they're not like, oh, what's going to happen next? But it helps their brain go into have something positive to listen to, but it's calming and relaxing. And it helps them stay out of the fears of what's under my bed or what's in the closet because they're listening to a story. So it's a kind of a helpful transition. And for some of you, this might feel doable and you might try it tonight with great success. And for others of you, you might find, like me, that staying calm when you're too tired, it and not getting to the point of being on edge or yelling or saying, I told you to stay in bed, which is completely normal and reasonable. You might be more like me, where this is really hard. I want you to know this is a totally normal response, and it is a lot. That's why, we want quick fix parenting solutions, and some of them, I mean, they're oftentimes great and helpful, but they're missing one particular part, which is what's happening within us. The reality is, it's a lot on you. And maybe if you have you and a partner to care for your kids or child 24/7. We were meant to parent in villages with a community of support. And today we're lucky if we have a community of two. Oftentimes it might just be you. So if you think to yourself, like, it's too much, that's because it literally is too much. And it's totally reasonable that it feels like too much. And this is where the inner work comes in. When it becomes a lot for many parents in these kind of situations, and we hear a parenting tip and we think, great, I'm going to try this, and then it falls flat, or we find ourselves still being yelly or on edge, or being short with our kids, or it still ends in tears. We oftentimes say to ourselves, I'm doing it wrong. I'm failing. There's something wrong with me. Like it feels like a personal failure. And the reality is, again, it is often too much. And this is just one particular chunk of your life. It's not to mention all the other things that are happening in your life, which hopefully are going swimmingly. But oftentimes there's other stressors that we have as well, besides just putting our kids to bed, right? So, the truth is that you may be doing it amazingly well. You may be doing the strategies awesome. And the fact that I feel like there's evidence that you're an awesome parent just because you're listening to this podcast. And I'm guessing that you're not just listening to this podcast, you're probably listening to other podcasts. You're probably reading books about parenting. You're probably listening to articles or reading articles. Like, wow, look at all the things that you are doing. This is all evidence that you really are an amazing parent. Like, look how much you care, that you're spending all of this time on your kiddos, on parenting, on trying to show up the way that you want to. So that inner voice that's like, you need to be doing more, you need to be doing better, it's just wrong. You're not failing. And it's not that you need to do something more or better. It's just that parenting and the way in which that we are parenting in our culture is often just hard and so, oftentimes too much. So I think of a weightlifting analogy because I am doing body pump at the Y. And when you think about like if you're lifting increasingly heavy weights, at some point the weight's going to be too heavy. And you wouldn't think to yourself, like, someone over there is lifting 300 pounds. I know I'm not going to think, like, oh my gosh, I'm a failure because I can't lift that 300 pounds. Like, of course I can't lift 300 pounds. Like, I could lift weights for years and never be able to lift 300 pounds. I don't think of it as a personal failure. And the same thing is true with parenting. But we feel like we should be able to do it. We feel like we should be able to lift the heavy weight of getting the kids to bed peacefully and calmly and in this beautiful way without any hiccups. And the reality is sometimes it is too much. Sometimes there's other circumstances in our life that are weighing on us. Sometimes it's too much to do by ourselves because of what's happening with our kiddo. Sometimes we've had past experiences that are like folding in and making the situation harder. So the reality is, if it's difficult, if you're finding that you are, trying different parenting ideas and you're finding them difficult, it's not because you're failing or doing it wrong. It's probably because there are very good reasons. There are very good reasons. And the quick fix is just don't address what's happening inside of you. And the reality is, what's happening inside of you is just as important as what's happening with your kiddos. And it's even more important than tips because the crazy thing is, when you feel okay inside, you can stay calm. You can like brainstorm and think of ideas. You can respond to your kids the way you want to. So that is a big think about when you're okay and how stuff rolls off your back and how you're able to just roll with it, and think about when you're not okay and how differently that goes, right? So I love getting to go deeper with parents in the Yelling to Connecting course. It's so easy to read a great book or hear great tips and get discouraged, or worse, blame yourself when it doesn't work. But again, like I said, there's a good reason it's not working. And there may be invisible blocks there inside of you. And the structure of the course helps parents go deeper and figure out where those blocks are and achieve the growth that they're looking for. It's so encouraging when I get to witness that in parents and walk through that process with them. So, again, I want to give you so much encouragement and so much love and just let you know I know how hard you're trying, and I've been there, and when you feel discouraged, you're not alone. You are so, so not alone. There have been times in the past when I've had to stop listening to parenting podcasts because I would feel so down on myself because I couldn't do it the way they were describing, because I couldn't stay calm, or I couldn't be playful, or I couldn't do whatever it was. And so if you have those moments, please know you are not alone. The play tip for the week, I love this one. I got it from a play mentor, Kiara, who unfortunately has passed away, to leave notes around the house in funny places. So it could be like in their sock drawer, or I don't know, in their book as a bookmark. It could be like in their favorite cereal. And they could be little messages like, I love you, or I appreciate you, because just playful, silly things. Maybe if you know how to draw, you can draw silly pictures. It doesn't matter. The kids love the playfulness, they love finding special notes. And it's just a little way to connect with your kiddos throughout the week. And you might put one, they might not find it for a month. So even better. Um, Before I forget to tell you, this January 22nd, there's going to be a live free webinar, 4 steps to build the calm, connected home you long for. And you're going to get a free parenting journal to track how you're doing and keep your mindset positive. It's a quick reflection journal. So I would love to see you there. And the light in me sees the light in you. Thank you so much for listening. Be well. A reminder, this content is intended for educational purposes only and should not be used as a replacement for private psychotherapy services. Compassionate Heart Mindful Life does not provide psychotherapy services in any capacity. I am a therapist, but I'm not your therapist, and this is not therapy and should not be a substitute for mental health treatment. If you need mental health treatment, please find a qualified professional in your area. Thanks so much for listening. Again, bye-bye.